thinking about her being gone.
Then, new information in one of Minnesota's most perplexing murder mysteries.
This is huge.
What KARE 11 Investigates uncovered.
A 24-year-old unsolved case.
It's very hard for me.
Now KARE 11 Investigates has uncovered new information in one of Minnesota's most perplexing mysteries.
Those seem like critical pieces.
Unsolved, the Ann Dunlap murder.
It is one of Minnesota's most widely known unsolved mysteries, the murder of Ann Dunlap. Her body found in her own car in a Kmart parking lot. Now, 2 decades later, investigative reporter Raguse uncovers exclusive new details about a case that's been shrouded in secrecy for years.
Last time she was seen.
A young woman goes missing.
Terrible.
Days later, her body discovered in the trunk of this car.
It's very hard for me.
Her husband, a suspect.
It's tough.
But never charged.
Sorry.
Now, newly disclosed records about one of Minnesota's most notorious unsolved murders. The FBI's analysis, police crime reports, even DNA testing on a possible murder weapon.
This is huge.
Her name was Ann Dunlap, 31, married, a manager at Pillsbury, when suddenly, on December 30th, 1995, she vanished.
I just can't imagine how it could have happened.
The missing posters came down, reward posters went up after her body was discovered in the trunk of her maroon Toyota, abandoned in a Kmart parking lot, her keys still in the ignition.
The murder was never solved, so here at Minneapolis Police Headquarters, the case files are still confidential. But across the street, here at federal court, documents have been released with stunning new details. It's part of a decades-old lawsuit in which a life insurance company argued it should not have to pay Ann Dunlap's husband.
We just want to find her.
Brad Dunlap organized the search for his wife and denied any involvement in her disappearance. But in this court document, Chubb Insurance alleged he intended to murder Ann when he took out the policy, and that Dunlap killed Ann to obtain the Chubb Life policy insurance proceeds. Since police considered him their prime suspect, the insurance company submitted a sworn statement from the lead investigator at the time, David Voss, the man in the black hat. In this affidavit, Voss outlined the evidence, calling Brad the only plausible suspect, claiming his motive was to cash in on $1 million in life insurance.
We're building a brand new home in Medina. It's our dream home. We're planning a family.
The couple had been married 8 years, living what seemed like a dream come true. But the newly unsealed records reveal the FBI was also brought into the case, profilers calling Brad a viable suspect, saying the crime must have been committed by someone who knew the victim very well and staged the scene. Even so, Ann's parents stood by Brad.
There really is nothing that leads it to him, and we know him too well. He couldn't grieve like he could if he did it.
Brad told police Ann left to go shopping at Nordstrom's at the Mall of America at about 2:30 in the afternoon. Before that, she ate brunch with friends when they took this picture. That meal is important because in this letter to insurance company lawyers, the medical examiner wrote, "The food I found in her stomach was consistent with what she'd eaten at brunch, likely meaning she died the same day within a few hours." Roughly the same time Brad claimed she left to go shopping.
We got no comment.
When police searched the Minneapolis house where Brad and Ann had been living with her parents, they thought they'd found the crime scene.
The human blood found was consistent with that of Ann Barbara Dunlap.
Back then, police announced they'd found traces of blood in the garage. But Brad's supporters insisted it could have come from other family members.
The mother has cut her hand in the last week. The father has cut his hand in the last week.
But these lab reports, never seen publicly before, concluded DNA from 3 bloodstains on the garage floor match Ann, but do not match the others. And there's more we didn't know. This autopsy report details how Ann's throat was cut repeatedly, and she bled to death in the trunk. But police didn't find any blood in the interior of the car, leading police to believe the killer, his clothes likely drenched in blood, must have cleaned up somewhere before driving the Toyota to Kmart. The medical examiner found no evidence of sexual assault, eliminating that as a motive, and no evidence of defensive wounds. She was not able to fight back. But it says there was evidence of a blunt force blow to her head, the medical examiner saying she was apparently hit with something broad and flat. And there's something else never reported before. A blood-stained fireplace log found in the garage. A lab report says that blood matched Ann's DNA. Was Ann knocked out, then stabbed?
This is the first time I've ever heard about a fireplace log.
Caroline Lowe was a Twin Cities reporter who covered the case extensively in 1996 and still keeps tabs on it today.
Those seem like critical pieces of their puzzle, that they think that Ann was somehow knocked out, stunned, so whoever killed her could get control of her.
As fascinating as the new revelations are, the fact is Brad Dunlap has never been charged in this case. And the newly released documents also reveal holes in the police theory. For example, police didn't find blood spatter in the trunk of the Toyota, meaning Ann was likely stabbed somewhere else first, then placed in the trunk. If that happened in the garage, as police believed, forensic experts hired by Dunlap say no evidence exists of that kind of extensive bleeding. And of course, there's one other problem. The murder weapon was never found.
Did they find a murder weapon?
If they found a murder weapon, Brad Dunlap wouldn't be at dinner right now.
This lab report notes the tip of a stainless steel pocket knife sheep's foot blade was found during Ann Dunlap's autopsy. So if the weapon in her mysterious murder is ever found, authorities still have something to compare it to.
I reached out to Brad Dunlap. His lawyer responded, no comment. Brad and the insurance company settled that lawsuit years ago, but the terms were not disclosed. Meanwhile, Minneapolis police say they didn't know the documents were unsealed until I told them. In a statement, the department said although they respect the authority of the federal courts, they would prefer that no documents would be released since this is still an open case.
So they say it's an open case. Is there any indication they're actively working on it anymore?
The Minneapolis Police Department has a cold case unit, and they do have an investigator who is assigned to the case, and I have confirmed through sources that he has done work on it in recent years.
Because of your investigation, do you think?
No,
they got new information now. Right?
Yeah, we'll see what comes moving forward from this, and really what they need is anybody that knows information and if this sparks anything to come forward.